Alrighty, this is gonna be a different type of video. So we're gonna be reacting to the Verge's wonderful, wonderful PC build. Um, Context: I've seen this video. I just figured it'd be funny for me to point out all the flaws that I noticed on this shit. It's horrible. So if anybody is looking to ever build a computer, don't listen to this guy. All right, here we go.
A few years ago, TC, or Managing Editor, built a gaming desktop, but it's kind of out of date, and it's definitely not going to hold up for Battlefield 5. So
He wants to
let's
play.
build a new one.
I hope he's not disappointed that he can't play Battlefield 5 because nobody plays it anymore.
I want to go all out, so I spent around a gaming desktop for around $1,000, but I want to go all out, so I spent around $2,000.
All out is not 2,000. Like, just saying. Plus 1,000 is pretty much bare bones minimum now. Like, yeah, you can probably find a solid desktop for around 500 to 800, but what's it gonna do? Play Among Us?
PC like this is going to be able to play most games at ultra settings. So, what do you need to build a desktop? Well, of course, first you need a table. Preferably
Tables are nice. I'm pretty sure everybody has one of those, so you don't need to go searching for those. So, we're good there.
not metal. If it's going to be metal, have an anti-static working surface layered on top of it, a thermal paste applicator,
Don't need those.
an Allen wrench,
You might need that.
some tweezers to tighten up the wires,
Tweezers. Tweezers. What are these? Those are called zip ties. What are you gonna tweeze with those? Fucking nothing. Tweezers. Can I raise the fucking quality on this? No, it's 720. Fuck.
a Swiss Army knife which hopefully has a Phillips head screwdriver in it,
Who doesn't have a fucking screwdriver, a Phillips head screwdriver laying around? Nobody's gonna have a Swiss Army knife that hopefully has a fucking screwdriver in it. 90% of Swiss Army knives have screwdrivers, but you're working with so many different screws that you're gonna need different sizes. Like, oh, it gets fucking better.
and last but not least, an anti-static bracelet.
What is that? That fucking Livestrong, the Lance or Neil Armstrong? What the fuck's name is? The Armstrong wristbands that everybody had back in the day. Where's the anti-static to that? It's literally rubber. It's fucking rubber. There's no like lead going off to where you can ground yourself. Oh.
Which is to protect you and the parts. These are the parts
You. It's gonna protect you and the parts. What's it gonna protect you from? Little zzz? Oh no, it's gonna kill me.
you're going to need. But more importantly, before we get there, we need to understand what these parts are doing and how they
Okay, this is just boring him explaining it, which in a horrible way.
Files on part be less powerful,
Yes, we need VCRs and TV remotes for PCs.
but the parts for your build.
we have a lot of these items in by adding the motherboard in. Some notes about installing motherboards: they're really delicate, you should be really careful with them, and screw in with confidence, but also don't screw in too hard, otherwise you could crack the board.
Screw in with confidence, but don't screw too hard because you could crack the board. Unless you're fucking like really tightening that shit down, you're not gonna crack it. You're gonna damage it, yes, but you're not gonna crack it. Also, screw in with confidence but not hard. What's the difference? Also, that's what she said.
I chose Asus's Z370 motherboard for two main reasons.
That thing's old.
One, it can get really fast SSDs that are really easy to install.
Yes,
Pay close attention
M.2s
to
are
the
easy.
brace that goes at the back
brace.
of the computer. You always have to make sure that you really hammer it in, because there's no
Hammer in the IO shield. Yes, hammer it in. Fucking, let me go grab my fucking rubber mallet. Whack, whack, whack.
screw. It really just has to go outside of the case. And
That's inside,
clasp
buddy.
Onto the frame. And this is very important, because otherwise you can't align the motherboard correctly with the holes. We're just gonna start.
With the holes. Those are called ports. Whatever the fuck you want to call them. IO, whatever. But, like, it'd be pretty difficult for you to fuck up the placement of the IO shield so bad that you can't even have your ports lined up. Just saying.
Start installing all 8 screws.
The standoffs are in. Props to him for that.
So next we're gonna install the RAM.
But Corsair probably gave him a little bit of leeway and pre-installed them for him.
On the motherboard. I chose Corsair's 16GB Vengeance LED RAM for two main reasons. One, it has LEDs, and we do like lights in our gaming desktop.
Ah, yes, very important. It must have LEDs. Must have. Also, those have to be fucking old, because I've never seen the Vengeance LED. I've seen Vengeance RGB. I mean, this was 2018 when this shit got uploaded and literally taken down within like a fucking month at most. It was awful.
Secondly, it's pretty fast RAM. It's 2,666 megahertz.
Can't even say it right, for one. For two, fast RAM. It's 2600 speed. What? 2600 speed is fast to you? Jesus. You need at least another 1000 megahertz for it to be considered fast.
I believe, so it's pretty fast.
Once again, this was 2018, but 2 years ago, 3600 was around.
And this motherboard supports that speed, which is most important.
Yes, very important.
Open the slots first and just align
2 RAM sticks, opening all and getting all 4 slots ready to go. Good job.
aligning the stick with the middle of the strip, not with the end. And
That, okay, yes, I will give him props for that one. That one's good. That's a good fucking note to have, because when you're putting a PC together, you flip it the wrong way, you're going to go right through that board or break the stick. It's pretty simple to break it, but at least he explained it to line up the middle.
just lining that up with the logo. So once you hear
The
that
logo?
solid
Hang on.
not with the end, and just lining that up with the logo.
What the fuck are you lining up with the logo? The stick? What logo? Yes, there's a logo on the left. All RAM sticks have it. Mine fucking do.
So once you hear that solid clasp and you don't see the gold
That's called your brand getting free advertising for anybody who sees your PC.
connectors on the side anymore, that's when you know the RAM is in.
Oh, his logos are on the right. I'm sorry.
Step 3, we're going to install.
What is this? What is this? What the fuck is this? Single channel? On fast RAM? There goes your speed.
The hard drive, or in this case, the NVMe SSD. I chose this format of solid state drive so that I could input it into the motherboard without having to worry about extra wires, and it's 480 gigabytes, so it's not a lot, but you can always upgrade.
I'm going all out on my PC, but I only got a 480 gig boot drive. You don't want a little more so you can fucking shove some games in there that you're gonna play on a regular basis, or just important softwares? You're an editor, or you're a blogger, whatever the fuck you do. Wouldn't you want to have some of those softwares ready to go, like Word or something?
Upgrade this and swap it out, and it's only
He didn't install the standoff.
held down by one screw and the latch.
Okay,
so
never mind,
it's
he hasn't-
really simple.
but still, no
and really
standoff.
straightforward. Speed for gaming is important when it comes to a hard drive.
You have 480 gigs. Microsoft is going to take up half of that for their fucking OS. Yes, speed is important when you have the space for it.
You want files to write quickly, and
What is this? No standoffs. No fucking stand... Are you shitting me? I wonder how long that fucking SSDs lasted him. I wonder if it's broke yet.
you want games to load quickly, so that's why it's best if you use an SSD. Okay, so step 4, we're going to install the graphics card. I chose PNY's GTX 1080, which is overclocked.
I'm not shitting on PNY, but out of all the brands, you went with PNY.
And so it's a pretty easy installation. You're just going to find the gold connector.
How many different ways are you going to
and you're
flip
gonna
that shit
line
around?
This bracket with the back end bracket of your PC case. Now, which
How many times are you going to say the word bracket in this video? Can someone like give me a count in the comments below, please?
lane you choose depends entirely on what other parts you're going to put in the system.
Which lane? For one, those are called PCI slots, or PCIe Express slots, whatever the fuck you want to word it, but which lane you choose is entirely dependent on the parts in the case? What? No, that's not how that works. If I put my graphics card in the bottom slot of my fucking system, one, airflow. That thing's all the way at the bottom. It's going to get no fucking air in it. So, say goodbye to your card after a year. And two, your speed. All motherboards have their PCIe Express slots, the top priority and the fastest speeds on the top one.
I'm just going to pick the top one because the SSD is at the bottom and I don't want to cover it.
He doesn't want to cover an SSD with his GPU. Do you want to see it? Do you want to see your bent SSD through the glass? What is this?
Just think it looks nice.
He thinks it looks nice. He thinks the SSD is pretty. Wow.
Click down.
That sounded horrible, by the way.
Take your grid.
Let's replay that.
Nice. Click down.
Oh! That was
Take
rough.
your remaining brackets and just put them in the spots.
Once again,
that
brackets.
you don't have to screw these in. They get bolted down by the back end bracket.
Bracket again. Also, not all motherboards or cases have this system on their I/O, their back I/O for the GPUs and all that kind of stuff. Mine doesn't have that. Does it have a lip? Yeah, all of them have that. But actually, correction, mine does not have the lip. The lip is on my vertical GPUs, my vertical GPU slot. But you're gonna need to screw those fuckers back in on 90% of cases. Otherwise, you're gonna fucking go to pick up your PC to take it somewhere to rearrange your desk, and you're just gonna hear the sound of it bouncing around in there.
And your GPU is installed. Power supply time. I chose.
Who puts a power supply in after the GPU?
Corsair's 850 watt power supply because I need enough headroom for ray tracing GPUs when they come out, and I don't want to have to upgrade it again. So all you have to do is take the brick and make sure that you align it with these little insulating pads.
Hang on. He wants headroom for a ray tracing GPU. I have a Core i9 9900K and a 2080 Super, and I'm on a 750 watt PSU. And I'm only pulling like 500 watts at most. So I have that headroom. You don't want to upgrade it again. You won't need to.
So the power supply doesn't short circuit and come into contact with the rest of the system.
Yes, line it up with the
slide it in
with
nice
the
and
pads
easy until you have a snug fit, and then shift it to the back and make sure it's right up against the frame. Now you just take the required screws and you tighten and screw in.
I bet you he's not even using the proper slots for those screws, because obviously PSUs have those holes in the back, and sometimes, like with mine, I have multiple different positions for screw holes because of the different style PSUs you can use. And I can guarantee you he's screwing his screws into the four-cornered ones instead of like the staggered ones. And he's screwing those into the holes, not the threads.
So next step, we're going to install the CPU cooler. In this case, it's going to go on the top end of the case, and we're just going to have the supplies.
I need to go back here for a second. Not here. Back a little further. Where is it? Come on, where is it? Okay, maybe I was wrong. But I saw him putting it in earlier. But come on, where is it? There it is. He's installing the cooler, right? Which is what looks to be a Corsair H100i. With the cover off. Anything that this pump comes in contact with on this side, on the copper side, is going to spread that thermal paste all over your shit.
You install it, because you can see it takes up a lot of space.
That's what radiators do.
But in this case, no pun intended, it fits
Wow.
in perfectly.
I'm laughing.
And we're gonna start screwing it in. And
He's gonna
there's
screw it.
nothing special about this screwing in process. They're just really long screws because they go
I am just impressed that he's still using that fucking Swiss Army knife.
through the entire frame of the cooler, and they take for.
Where's your fans? Where are your fans? These long ass screws are to thread your fucking fan, to thread it through your fan so it holds it onto the radiator, not mounting it through the radiator. That's gonna go into it and you're gonna get a leak.
They're just really long screws because they go through the entire frame of the cooler.
It's not even true.
They take forever. So next up, cables. It for those connecting the motherboard.
Cables are nothing special.
The next few additions will be for the GPU, for any specific ports covering that they were installed, for any lighting that the case has. The
Keep in mind what's coming up is this is still in 2018, so he's flexing on this CPU.
CPU cooler, anything else really. We're installing the CPU, the heart of the computer or the brain, depending on how you look at it. So to do this, we're just going to remove the plastic covering that they put on the motherboard. We're just going to take this little plastic.
It's an
cover
Intel.
out. Just toss that out of here.
It's Intel. You need to keep that in until you fucking put it in. That's how it works. It pops off automatically when you fucking shove that piece of shit in there. And then he chucked the cover. You're supposed to keep that in case you need to return or there's a defect with your board or you need to use the warranty.
And now we have an exposed CPU holder, or rather slot,
Holder.
on the motherboard. And we're going to use the CPU applicator. This
What I was saying earlier, I must have skipped it, but it's like a fucking 8700K or some shit. And he's like, yeah, we got one. Wow. They're not that impressive. Like, you can find those anywhere pretty much. And now he's using a CPU applicator. The only fucking CPU that I know has a CPU applicator is a Threadripper. And that's because you have to slot it in a really weird way because of how fucking fat that bitch is, okay? Ugh.
This is a special have. It's called a CPU installer course. And basically a brace.
It's a brace. At least it didn't say bracket.
By a CPU cooler on top. And we're just going to carefully lean it down into the system.
It's going to lean it down.
So that everything lines up.
Watch that again.
And we're just going to carefully lean it down into the system and make sure that everything lines up.
The CPU bounced up a little bit. He better make sure that shit's back in there in the proper position, otherwise he's gonna break some fucking pins and that shit ain't gonna fucking post.
And we're gonna clasp down on it and we'll be good to go. So we're about to apply thermal paste to the CPU. Every CPU cooler actually comes with a bit of thermal paste already neatly applied.
I'm just so impressed there's like no line going through it from where it's scraped on something.
In a circle around it, but it's usually not enough. It's good, essentially PC building practice.
That is plenty. That is fucking plenty. Corsair knows what they're doing. You sure as hell fucking don't.
Is to have a little bit extra and layer it on top of the CPU.
Do you see that? Do you see this? Yes, let me make a hexagonal shape to match my hexacore CPU. Wow.
The final portion is to add the CPU
horrible.
to the top end of the processor. So you're gonna see that there are 4.
What the fuck? What'd you do? Come all over your fucking CPU? Holy shit.
Brackets, or rather like screws in here with brackets and holders right
Brackets, and more brackets.
here.
Oh
And
my.
we're going to keep the cooler raised off the processor, but it's also going to be close
not
enough
true.
to actually physically come in contact with it. Like,
That's accurate.
basically keep it cool. Take thumb.
I just realized he put his radiator fans on the front. Oh, well, not even fans. Fan. Oh, that's...
Screws like
I'm
this,
trying so hard not to cringe right now.
and just screw them on. So
That didn't
now
sound
the
great.
panels are done, we're going to put all the panels back on, which is the top glass. So we fully built the
Take a look at that cabling. Wow. Wow. Your fucking PS I'm assuming that not PSU, but your fucking radiator hoses, as he called them, hoses or cords, whatever you want to call them, tubes, are touching your GPU. I mean, it's not a big deal, but you could have managed it a little better. No fans on the radiator, unless these very well could be the fans, but he didn't show us putting that in. It looks pretty bland up here, so I don't know what the fuck what changed off camera, but he's got excess cable down here. I mean, if it was coming up underneath that, and there was just like literally enough length for it to get to where it needs to go, that's understandable. But look at this. I can guarantee you that's the fucking USB ports on the top or the side of the case. Why would you not manage that behind? Yes, it gets bulky back there. Slam that shit closed.
PC. Everything's put together, and we got to the post screen.
Wow, he did get it to post. Okay, I want to try
So
and
we
see.
fully built the
I want to try and
PC,
see where he screwed that
everything's put
PSU in.
together, and
I see 1,
we got to the post screen.
2. I can't see the 3rd or the 4th. So
So
maybe they're not
what's
even in
next?
there.
Well, you need a USB flash drive with your Windows installation media on it, and of course a license key.
You don't need a license key. There's a reason why Windows lets you just download it freely. You don't need a license key. As long as you don't mind the fucking activate Windows down here, you don't need one.
So I plugged that up, installed Windows.
He
in a
plugged
couple
it
of
up.
minutes, installed a bunch of drivers, and now
A
we
bunch
have
of
a fully
drivers.
functioning gaming PC.
I can guarantee you there was only one driver he needed to install, and that was for the GPU. He doesn't really need to update your processor or your RAM. I mean, yeah, you could have installed IQ to control it, but that's it.
Be ready to run some games.
He's
Right
running
now
some
I've got
games.
Armor 3 running at maximum settings, native resolution, which is 1080p HD, and it's running pretty smoothly. Like, I'm averaging 70 and 80 FPS, and this is normal.
Arma 3. Hang on. Hang on. A game that released in 2013 is a intensive game, and he's only getting 70 frames. I can guarantee you he did not configure that properly with his settings.
Like a very intensive game to run.
Very
And
intensive.
it's still doing a pretty good job. So right now I'm playing League of Legends. It's one of my favorite games. I'm
One of his
actually playing
favorite.
against a bot.
He's playing against a bot, and he's flexing his computer.
And I'm distracted, so I'm not actually doing so well. But okay.
What are you distracted by? Your shitty computer building skills?
Otherwise, like, this is pretty much what you would see me do on a gaming computer.
He's locked
Test
it at
stuff out
120.
and hopefully have really high frame rates, like
Hopefully. You buy good parts, you get high frame rates.
I am right now. I'm averaging.
This is the last criticism I'm giving this guy, or last critique. He's got his extra fingers off to where he's only like this, pretty much. He's flipping us off. He's going like fucking this, in other words. Like, what is that? Okay, so keep in mind he has also gone to Twitter, and here, let's just go to fucking Twitter. Let's go to Twitter. His tweets are protected. He's gone private after getting hated on so much. He no longer works at The Verge. He quit or something. He just got so much hate. Like, and then if you go to his Instagram, all of his posts have like 3 comments on it because he's locked them all. So, I don't know what this guy's doing. In all seriousness, I don't hate him. I hate his tutorial on how to build a computer. It's horrible. But if he's going to make a video that's literally going to reach millions of people, he should be doing it properly. And it could have just literally been somebody telling him what to do from behind the camera, and he got all the hate for it. That could be what it is, but we all know how bad it was. So, thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoyed my criticism on this poor man. He's gotten enough hate, so maybe show him some love on time to time if you ever can ever contact him. Thank you guys for watching. I'll check you guys later. Bye-bye.